Hi everybody, so today we've got a new release from one of my favourite brands, Charlotte Tilbury. I have picked up all 6 shades of the new eyeshadow palette. So we have the blue and the green, the cool and the warm, and the pink and the lilac. So I'm going to try all of these on. I'm actually going to do them side by side in reverse order of the way I've just shown you. So I'm going to show you, if you're looking at maybe the pinks and the lilacs, which one you might prefer, so you can see them side by side. So I'll film those side by side, the cools and warms side by side, and then I'll finish with the green and blues at the end for my final look. I've also got swatches of all of these as well for you, so I really do have a lot to do today, but I cannot wait to get started. I love eyeshadows and I love Charlotte Tilbury. So if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah, I'm 48, I'm not a professional, I'm just somebody who loves makeup and beauty, and here on my channel I show you the latest releases, my favourite looks, and give you any beauty news you might be interested in. If you think you'd enjoy this, please do hit the subscribe button. It is super helpful to my channel, and if you're already subscribed, thank you so very much for being here again. I really appreciate you. And my skin tone, if that's helpful for seeing how these tones suit me, I've got fair to light skin with neutral / cool, but mostly cool undertones, and I've got blue eyes. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get straight into this video. So these palettes launched yesterday, but I believe they are now on the app and some of the websites, and possibly launching Sephora tomorrow. So yesterday was the early access on the website. The links I've put below I think will take you directly to the website for the US and the UK. So if you want to get direct access to Charlotte Tilbury, I think it will work, even though I saw an advert saying it's app only. But you can, I think, go straight to the website. And also, if you go to either app or website, I do have a 15% discount code if you're shopping on the Charlotte Tilbury website. So I'll pop that discount code below now so you can use that. I believe it is only a one-off code though, so if you've used it before, it won't work, I'm afraid. You can try, but maybe not, unless you've got different accounts, you never know. And this, like I said, will launch in Sephora. I think it's tomorrow, the 13th, it launches in Sephora. I think that's right. But anyway, let's look at these straight away. So I'm going to start with the pink and the lilacs, I think. I want to finish with the greens and the blues. They're going to be my final look, and that will be the only look where I add mascara, because my eyes are going to get very cross with me doing this today, so I won't be able to do the full look with mascara on the first set of 2 different looks. So let's look at these first straight away anyway, and some information about the palettes before we get started. So these are saying they're limited edition, so I don't know how real that is. I'm sure they will sell out and not be available, but they might make a comeback. Let's just wait and see how limited that is. It says they are high pigment eyeshadow palettes with 9 universally flattering shades in new multi-dimensional finishes, matte, shimmer and pop. And the ingredient call outs, these are free of parabens, no formaldehydes, no formaldehyde releasing agents, no phthalates, no retinol, palmitate, oh gosh, I hate reading these out, oxybenzone, coal tar, hydroquinone, sulfates, SLS and SLES, trichlocarbon, triclosan, and contains less than 1% synthetic fragrance. These products are cruelty free. So a lot of the nasty ingredients that you might personally need to look out for are not included in these. So what else do you need to know about these palettes? The palettes feature blendable and buildable new textures. So we have matte silk, crystal pop, diamond dimension, molten satin and crystal chrome for a multi-dimensional finish that lasts day to night. So these cost £49 or $60. So there's already been a few questions about how these compare to the Beautyverse. So I do have a little bit of information on that for you. So if I just show you, first of all, the difference in size between these and the Beautyverse, but they actually contain exactly the same amount of product. Both of these contain 9 grams of product, or 0.31 ounces. It's just the packaging that's different. And also with the Beautyverse, these were $69 and $75. Actually, I don't have the pounds price because these are no longer on the Charlotte Tilbury website. They are still on the US website, but it looks like they've sold out on the UK. So the first one the prettiest one. This one was 75, and I think that's because it's got the most formulas in it that are more complex. That's the reason for that. And this one, the more recent one that came out, the Love palette, which came out at Christmas, this one was 69. So you're paying 9 more for this, and you're paying 15 more for this. So there's definitely a saving for the lack of fancy packaging. So in terms of dollars, you're saving either 9 or 15. So I'm glad that the price difference, there is a price difference, because hopefully if the formulas are as good, the only thing that's not as good is the packaging. And the packaging, let's face it, with the Beautyverse is beautiful, especially the first one for me. I absolutely loved this one. But also there is a change in formula. So if we look at the formulas that the Beautyverse palettes had, these ones had duochrome pearls, and they had the Future Matte, which are a cream to powder formula. And that doesn't seem to be in the new ones, which may disappoint some people, because I know that that particular matte formula was very, very popular. They also had Crystal Glow and Party Topper. So looking at the new ones, we have Crystal Pop rather than Crystal Glow, and I think that is like a topper actually, which we will look at. But we do have Molten Satin and Matte Silk. So these are new formulas from Charlotte. And now from swatching them, I can tell you now they don't have that super soft feel like you get with the cream to powder, which is how the formulas are with Beautyverse, the matte formulas. I do think with Beautyverse the matte formulas were phenomenal, but I also felt a bit disappointed with the shimmers in both of them. So I do think what seems to have happened is the matte formula has changed for the new one, but the formulas for all the different types of shimmers have improved a lot, and from swatching them I really do think they've improved. So I'm hoping we'll see a lot more impact from these, and I will probably prefer them for that reason, although I will completely reserve judgment on these mattes because we just don't know until we try them. To be honest, some of the mattes swatched well when I did swatches and some didn't, so it's a little bit like this. Most of the shimmers, in fact I think all of the shimmers really swatched very nicely, because I've obviously swatched all of these. So that's the information on these. I will show you them side by side, the two that I think are a little bit similar. So if we look at the one that launched at Christmas, which is the Love palette, and then I'll compare this to the Pink Love. So you can see them side by side, because you may feel if you've got Love, you don't particularly need this one. So here they are side by side. And I will actually do a direct swatch comparison of the two so you can see the difference. I will just pick out a few shades that I think are very similar between the two. So here we have the new palette, Pink Love. And here we have the Beautyverse. There's only 2 mattes swatched here. I was trying to swatch them to show you similarities in colours. So if you look at the way that the new matte is swatched here, compared with this one is just so much more smooth. I've tried not to go back and correct it so you can see they don't swatch quite as smoothly, the new mattes, as they do in the Beautyverse. But I do think that the shimmers are definitely looking a lot more promising here than the two I've swatched from Beautyverse. So it looks like an improvement, as I thought, in the shimmers, but reserving judgment on the mattes. This one swatched very nicely, this one just okay. These are just more smooth, they really are. So you can see there, you can almost get an identical look, certainly with these shades. So there are certainly shades lacking, I think, from the Beautyverse, which I remember complaining about at the time, because it doesn't have a light shade. So I think that the new one is much better because it does have this light shade. But then the new one doesn't have a dark one for a liner, which this one does. So it's sort of giving you one of the things you wanted, but taken away one of the things you probably liked. Unless you're happy to just use this one as a liner, which is probably what I'll do today to show you. Not that it's a shade I like for me as a liner, but I'm going to exclusively use these and nothing else, so you can see them on the eyes. So the original Beautyverse palette, the one that cost more, the one that has the nicest packaging, and certainly my favourite and my most used of the two by a mile. I love this one. You can create a really sort of mermaid look with this one. I'm going to compare this one to Digital Lilac. Here they are side by side. There is quite a significant difference, so I don't think I'm going to get a very accurate swatch comparison, but I'm still going to try my best. So the darkest matte in the Beautyverse is a brown, whereas the darkest matte in the new one is specifically, they're all pinks, reds, mauves, shades of red, or lilac rather. So we're not getting brown. So that's the first thing that's very different. These are very much sticking with the colour theme, most of them anyway. There is one, I think, that hasn't, but we'll get to that one later. So it's very difficult to get any sort of match here between the two. This is the original Beautyverse, and again you can see how smooth the mattes are, and here are two of the mattes from the new Lilac palette. Can you see how this one swatched appallingly? And I really struggled to swatch this when I did my swatch video. This shade here has swatched better though, so this one could be tricky for blending out. And then you can see again the shimmers just a bit more impactful. To be fair, the ones in the original Beautyverse were pretty good, and these are probably the better too. But anyway, that's probably the most similar look you can get. So we're looking at having no browns as we're getting in the Beautyverse. So if I just quickly hold them up again side by side, we got that first row of sort of browns to use with this one, whereas the new digital lilac is very much all in the lilac theme. So now let's just get them on the eyes and try them side by side. So I'm going to start with the Pink Love. So before I do that, here is my swatch video for Pink Love.
You're something beautiful, electric chemical. You take my breath away, feel my emotions push and pull. Shooting stars in your eyes, you're bringing me to life. Love how you say my name, you make it feel like summertime. When you
I'm going to try my best to use the exact same brush for the entire thing. So I've got my microfiber cloth here ready with a little bit of spray on it for cleaning brushes. And the reason I'm doing that is I just don't want there to be any difference whatsoever in application. So I'm going to hopefully be able to do that. But some of these colours are very bold. I might have to switch up to other brushes. But let's start anyway with this one. So which colour would I use as my transition? I think I'll start with this one first. So this is in the Matte Silk formula. I'm using here my Wayne Goss brush, the number 6, which I've been using a lot. I really like this one for going into my crease, and also using it for transition shades, for bringing it out, and also for taking it underneath because it's got a lovely pointed tip. So hopefully you'll be seeing this brush for every look today, if I can clean it off sufficiently without getting it too wet. So anyway, this formula, that's going on really, really, really well actually. So this is a silk formula, so it's going on a bit like a satin. Very, very easy to blend. Nice bit of shade there as well, nice bit of pigment, so that's a very good start. Really like that. I'd say that's as easy to work with as the cream to powders, so very good start. And swatches can be very deceptive. Certainly the Victoria Beckham, if you saw my review of that, they swatched so badly and they go onto the eyes so beautifully. I forgot to mention that all of these palettes are made in Italy as well, as with most, I think all of Charlotte's eyeshadows, so this collection is all made in Italy. And I'll try a little bit of this paler pink as well because I want to try as many shades as I can for you. So this is in the Matte Silk formula as well. So I'm just taking this around the edge. There's a lot of kickback still coming off the brush now actually with this one. There wasn't so much with the first shade. So this is very light, so it's not really showing up, but it's a good one for going around the edges and softening. Could also work possibly, I was going to say under the brow, but probably not actually, but it's quite good at softening the edges. So now I'm going to go for a bit more depth using this shade here, and this is also a Matte Silk formula. So just taking this into the outer V and bringing it onto the lid a little bit just to see how well these three mattes will blend together. So at the moment I have all matte silks on the eyes, and obviously being the same formula you would expect them to blend together nicely. I don't feel as though I'm getting any patchiness at the moment. They're going on smoothly and evenly. Plenty of pigment. I'm not going to overdo this because this is the sort of colour palette that can make me look ill if I go too much. So I don't want to ruin the effect, but you can definitely build this up a lot more than I'm going to. Just going back in with a clean brush. Soften a bit more where I've done that outer V. So we have 2 crystal pops. Now I don't think I would use both. I really want to use this one because I think this one was my favourite out of all of them when I swatched them. So let's put a little bit on here with my finger. And you can see this is not just a pop. This is quite a wow. This is definitely not a topper. The crystal pop shade is very, very impactful in this palette. And I wasn't very careful and I've had no fallout. That is really nice. I'm so tempted to just try the other one as well, but it might look a little bit bonkers. Anyway, let's just do it. So the second crystal pop is this one. So I'm just going to put that next to it. But I probably would go one or the other. So we've got this slightly lighter pink. You can see the same finish there. And to try the whole palette, so this might not necessarily be the best look, but I am going to go in with this one because this again is a new formula. This is the Molten Satin. So I'm going to take this on the first third of the lid. This is a very smooth formula with less of a sort of high impact shimmery finish because it's a satin, but it's still quite a shiny satin. And I think what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of this Diamond Dimension over the top of this. So you can see how this would look. I think this is how this would be used. In fact, maybe I should just spread it across the whole thing. Let's go for it. Diamond Dimension across the whole lid. Because for me, I think that is going to be more of a topper. So that is giving you an idea of the absolute maximum you're going to get from this palette, because this is really taking shine to another level. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Glow times 1000. Because you really don't need to put this topper over these new formulas. The crystal pops don't need it, but this is how it looks if you put the Diamond Dimension over the crystal pop. But in this inner corner here, this is just the Diamond Dimension going over that satin, so you can see it really does transform it. So you could easily just do maybe just 2 shades, maybe even just stick with the mattes, and you could do something like this and that for outer depth, and then just use the Diamond Dimension all over to give it that pop look, or take it day to night. So starting with just this and then going in with this in the evening to give it that party sort of vibe. So one I haven't tried is the darkest out of all the mattes, which is this one. I'm going to try this as a liner. I don't know if it's dark enough. So again, this is a matte silk. I do think that these are quite sort of hard pans compared to maybe the cream to powder, which is really good because when you're going in for lining and fine work like this, you do not want any fallout. And this sort of formula just doesn't seem to have any. It's very good. Hard pressed is what I meant, not hard panned. That sort of hard pressed powder. So I think that works as a liner, but I don't think it works on me. I think it's that sort of shade that makes me look ill. I really would need to go in with, I think, a darker for me. I could probably leave this look as it is, be quite happy with it, but I would like to go in with a black liner and then mascara, and then it would look a lot better. But this is the best I can do for today because I can't finish with mascara and an eyeliner and wash off twice, I'm afraid. So hopefully this has given you a good enough idea of what this palette is capable of. But the last shade I haven't tried is this lightest one here, and this is the one that's described as a molten, oh I can see a lot of kickback there, a lot of chunks rather than kickback, molten satin. Whoa, look at that. That's a really good one for the inner corner. This would look really nice over sort of 1/3 of the lid as well, as a real pop of brightness. I would never use all of these colours. Very much a demonstration purpose, not a recommended look here. I just really want to try out all of these formulas and give you an idea of how they may work together. So under the brow and inner corner, that definitely works nicely. So I'm not going to tidy up and perfect that anymore, but you've seen every shade in action now. The first one, Pink Love. Now Digital Lilac. Now for me, if I was going to choose before trying these on, this is the one out of the two I would have definitely bought. These are shades I prefer. Just going over editing, I forgot to introduce the swatch video for this palette, so here it is.
You're something beautiful, electric chemical. You take my breath away, feel my emotions push and pull. Shooting stars in your eyes, you're bringing me to life. Love how you say my name, you make it feel like summertime. When you reach out your hand,
so let's see if I would have been right and see if I do prefer it. So I'm going to start with this one. So matte silk formula again. Gosh, that has got a lot of pigment. Look at that, straight away you can see that pigment. This brush though does pick up quite a lot of product, so you do need to be a bit careful how much you pick up with this. But they're certainly not going light on pigment, which is good. But you just need to be a little bit careful not to over apply initially. And I'm going to take this lightest one here, which is also a matte. I do apologise, my dogs are driving me crackers at the moment. If you follow my channel, we have building work next door. Particularly Florrie, out of my two dogs, is insisting on alerting me to every single bit of action outside, so apologies. So you can see how much this lightest matte silk formula here, shade rather, they're both matte silks. This one is really softening the edge of this lilac very nicely, and they blend together beautifully. Very, very quick and easy to work with. Very, very nice. I think I'll take a dab of this lilac on the very tip of this brush and run some of this underneath. I immediately prefer this on me compared with these shades. But this is just my preference, what I think suits my colour tone and my undertones, and just colours that I prefer generally. Oh yeah, that is a beautiful, beautiful combination, those two. So these two together, really, really nice. So now if I go for a little bit of depth, I think I'll do the same as with the last one. I'll try this one and then line with that one. So again, just a little bit on the tip of this brush, and now I'm going to just start patting it into the outer V. Not collecting quite so much on the brush this time. Oh yeah, that works out very nicely on top of the lilac. Can you see how it just sort of naturally darkens it, but blends beautifully together, the two of these. They layer very nicely. Oh yeah, I like that. They really do work together, these mattes. I think the shades in these compared to Beautyverse are much better. I thought the formulas were brilliant in Beautyverse, but the shades were just not that great really. I think these are just so much nicer, the way they really do work together. Certainly blend together really easily, really beautifully, and they're pigmented. So far I'm really enjoying this new matte silk formula, I really am. So much better than the way they swatched. So this is the only Diamond Dimension shade, and this is the only Crystal Pop. So the Diamond Dimension, certainly from the first palette, just gave more of a topper overall sparkle finish, whereas the Crystal Pop really does bring that pop. And these three here are all molten satin. So in the pink one, we just had one of those. So we could try a few more of those, but I really do want to use this one because I love this Crystal Pop. So I think I'll maybe start with this satin here. I'm going to carry on using my fingers rather than a brush. This molten satin formula is so beautiful. It really is extremely silky soft. It's not overly exaggerating the lines in my eyes either. It's quite a complementary sort of formula. Grips nicely to the lid as well as not totally emphasizing all of my lines. I really like this formula. Very, very nice. And you can see how if you went for just one of these across the whole of the lid and left it would be fine. But then you could also go in with the diamond dimension across the top, which I think would be lovely. And that's probably the look I would go for if I wasn't trying to show you more from the palette. So I think what I'll do today is go in straight away with this crystal pop. I don't think I can do all of these together because they're just going to look a little bit silly. Here is the crystal pop shade. Not quite as impactful as the crystal pop from the pink one, I'd say, but still very, very pretty. But just so you can see, I think I'll take a little bit of diamond dimension and pop that over this molten satin, so you can see how it will bring sparkle to it, to give you an idea of what it would look like all over if you just went for the satin and then topped it with the diamond dimension. Isn't that gorgeous? I can see me using diamond dimension a lot. In fact, I'm going to do what I did with the other look and put it over the whole lid. That is stunning. So again, I'm putting diamond dimension over the crystal pop formula, so I'm doubling that sort of impact of shimmer. So I did leave out these two here, but I could use this one in the inner corner actually, so that's what I'll do, this molten satin shade. I think this is working for the inner corner and under the brow maybe, just about. Yeah, very smooth, again very soft and easy to apply. So I'll take my Rapha 23 now with the deepest of these mattes, the matte silk, and try to use this to line. I think this might be dark enough for me to think it works nicely as a liner, whereas this one here is just too pinky and makes me look a bit unwell. Can you see the difference? How this one really works, and this one for me, on my skin tone, I don't think it works. This one does. So this palette has got the inner corner and it's got the liner shade, so really liking this palette a lot more. Oh yeah, I really do like this one very much. So looking at the palette, what have I not used? The only one I didn't use was this satin here. So just to show you the one I haven't used. Beautiful satin. The satins are really nice. I'm very impressed with these formulas, and I do like having these different formula options as well, because you can really see their different uses and the way you can use them, and I love them, and I think you can get lots and lots of different effects. Like I said, I'm piling them on today, but I wouldn't use this much. But yeah, I love this diamond dimension. I think that would look so pretty over just one of these satins. So there, that is the finished look with Digital Lilac. So which one do you prefer? Pink Love or Digital Lilac? For me, it is definitely Digital Lilac, although like I said earlier, I think this side would look so much better without that liner and with a dark liner, and both would look much better obviously with mascara. But this gives you hopefully a good idea of what you can get from both of these palettes. Anyway, I'm now going to wash off and be back to try the Cool versus Warm palettes. So now we're moving on to Sensual Sunset. Now, when I was doing my Will I Buy Won't I said I'd skip this, although I do think these colours work very well with blue eyes, so I would have probably liked to have got it, but I was trying to be sensible, but I've ended up going for all of them because when I asked you I had so many mixed responses. I just thought it might be better for me to get all 6 for you so you can see them against each other. But I was saying I'd skip this, but now I've seen it swatched, I'm very glad I didn't, because it's swatched beautifully, and this shade here in particular is so beautiful. I can't wait to use this one. Editing me here again. Yes, I forgot to introduce the swatch video, so here it is.
You're something beautiful, electric chemical. You take my breath away, feel my emotions push and pull. Shooting stars in your eyes, you're bringing me to life. Love how you say my name, you make it feel like summertime when you reach out.
And this shade that I love so much is the Crystal Pop formula. Look at it. Isn't it gorgeous? I've got to get this one on the eyes. I mean, this one could be a one and done. It's just so pretty. It could just be all over the eye. But I will try to use as many as I feasibly can. So I'll start with one of the lighter mattes. So this is the matte silk, and I have cleaned my brush off successfully, so I'm back with my Wayne Goss brush. Look how quickly that's blended out. Wow, look at that. Very, very easy. This brush does make it easy as well, you know. So like I said, Wayne Goss number 6. I have to keep checking I'm getting that right. From his new collection. I shall make sure I pop a link for this, because honestly I'm so impressed with how much I get done with it. I've just been looking at my notes and I do actually have more shade descriptions, so I should have looked at that for the first two. But anyway, this one is described as an apricot tan, this matte silk. But also something I've just noticed with this one is there's a new formula in this that the first two didn't have. So this formula here is a crystal chrome. So I'm just going to swatch that a minute to show you how this looks up against my favourite Crystal Pop. So there is Crystal Chrome and there is Crystal Pop. I'm going to go into this lightest matte, which is Bisque Matte Silk again, and just take this around the edge now to soften. Just look how quickly this blends into it. I just cannot knock these formulas at the moment. They're blending out beautifully and they're working together fabulously. Look how easy that is. Very, very easy. I'll take a little bit of the apricot tan on the tip of this brush and run that underneath. And then I'm going to go into one of the deeper ones. If I want to really go for a warm look, I think I need to go with this one. This one is another matte silk and the shade is Brick. This one is taking a little bit more working in. It's very pigmented, but maybe having these sort of reddy tones, it just means it's a bit more work to blend, but not a lot. This is going to be a perfect summer palette, isn't it? I think you could go a bit more heavily and then you could obviously build up a little bit more with this one. I might just for the sake of review, I don't think I would do one or the other here, but I'm going to try a tiny dab of this just on the very, very inner V, if you like, so not taking it too far out, just so we can see. So this is bringing a sort of tone of red. It's described as a burgundy wine. I'm just patting this into the outer V, but the inner outer V, like I said, whereas this is more of the outer V, if you know what I mean. Look how these build onto each other really nicely and really, really easily. Even though these reds didn't swatch beautifully, they're certainly going on easily and blending beautifully. I think if you're someone who struggles with blending, you're going to really like this matte formula because they work so easily. Honestly, I'm putting in half the work I normally do with blending out mattes, with a lot of mattes anyway. I really like that. I really like the 3. It gives that sort of sunset vibe, doesn't it? So now for the wow colours. Let's start with maybe one of the darkest. This one here is a molten satin and this one's copper bronze. So I'll start with this one maybe. And just put a little bit here, more in the sort of outer section. Oh, isn't that beautiful? But I do need to get into my favourites. So we have now this Crystal Pop formula. This one is called Copper Sparkle. And just look at it. So I'll go slightly over the other shade and then bring it on its own. Well, this is a stunning colour. This is a shade I love with blue eyes, this sort of shade. Love it. No fallout either, even though it is so sparkly. It's not bitty, you don't feel the bits at all, they are so smooth. I love this formula. It's certainly my favourite formula. But I do think I need to look at the Crystal Chrome as well. But Crystal Pop, wow. I've got here the Rose Gold Hypnotising Pop Shot from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm just going to compare it actually out of interest. I know the shade will be different. I'm going to do a swatch comparison with this Crystal Pop shade. Actually, it's not as impressive. It's just not. This is the Pop Shot, and this is the Crystal Pop. Wow, they're even better. I love the Pop Shots as well. Maybe the Crystal Chrome finish is more like the Pop Shots. The Crystal Pop has something really, really special. So I'm going to try this Crystal Chrome. This one is a warm gold. And this is now going into the inner corner. Well, not the inner corner, the very first part of my lid. You can sort of see the difference between the two, but I think I'd definitely be going for one or the other. They are both beautiful. I really hope you're capturing the two shades there on camera. I can see the difference, and you can see clearly here, these are the two I'm putting on. And the Diamond Dimension shade is this one, and this one is an iridescent light gold. So the only place I want to show you this for now is over that satin to show you how it would look as a topper. Oops, I've just gone way too high with that. I now have a topper all over the eye, so please ignore that. That's how it looks as a topper. Isn't that stunning? I think putting this topper now over the rest will give me a crazy glow, but I'm going to do it just for the fun of it. Let's just try it. Really keep in mind this is for that crazy level of glow. So we have the satin, we have the crystal glow, we have the crystal chrome, and we have the Diamond Dimension all layered. And then you get that really, really, really crazy sort of finish, which is too much. I'm really showing you more so you can see how it looks over the satin, which is, as I've said before, I would definitely go with the satin and the crystal as one look on its own. And then I would go with either the Crystal Pop or the Crystal Chrome, one or the other over the lid with the mattes. That's the way I would personally use this. I'm wondering if I could go with this as an inner corner on its own. So I'll try it. This is the one I've only used so far as a topper, but it does seem to have enough light and reflection for that inner corner. As soon as I've already taken it up here, I might as well carry on underneath the brow. The only thing I haven't tried is a liner shade, so I'll go with the darkest matte. This is a chocolate brown matte silk. That's an excellent liner shade. Definitely do not need a liner with this one. And it just goes on so quickly. These work as liners and they work as excellent blending out mattes. They really do. That is just the quickest application, it really is. Just blends in beautifully and so effortlessly. So I'm not going to town with making this superbly precise, but this is just giving you an idea. Look at that glow, that's definitely way too much. But like I said, this is very much for review purposes. But this is a very impressive palette. I think I could make this look so much prettier though if I kept the light up to about there, and the sort of bronzy shade starting more in the central section and then moving across, so I could have this lighter one here filling at least half the lid. So anyway, that is Sensual Sunset. Very overdone. So now onto the Cool Tone palette, and I will play you my swatch video of this first. So here's the swatch video.
You're something beautiful, electric chemical. You take my breath away, feel my emotions push and pull. Shooting stars in your eyes, you're bringing me to life. Love how you say my name, you make it feel like summertime. When you reach out your hand.
So this is the Super Neutral palette. So this one has a Diamond Dimension, a matte silk, and another matte silk. This one is a Crystal Chrome. This one's a matte silk. This one is a Diamond Dimension. This one is a matte silk and another matte silk. So unlike all of the ones I've shown you so far, this is the first one to have two Diamond Dimensions. So both this one and this one are both Diamond Dimensions. It has no crystal pop, which is a shame, but it does have a crystal chrome. And all the rest are matte, so this one has the most mattes. And this one has no molten satin formulas in it. So this one has the least amount of the fancy formulas in from the looks of it. And it's probably the most simple neutral out of all of them. But it is a cool tone palette that really speaks to me because I do enjoy cool tones. So I think I'll start, I can't just use up all the mattes this time because it will be crazy. So I'm going to have to choose, do I go for the sort of browns or do I go for the sort of greys? I think I'll go with the greys actually. So I'll start with this one. I'll start taking this one into the crease. Going on very nicely so far. So into the crease and above the crease and bringing it out here. Not massively pigmented, but certainly showing up. And taking a bit on the tip and running it underneath as well. I think I'll go into this one and slightly mix the browns with the greys. So this one is a slate grey and the one I'm adding is a cool taupe. So I'm just using this to go around the edge of the grey to soften. And I'll go into this deeper grey here. This is described as graphite grey, another matte silk. So it should give me a bit more depth here in the outer V. I think I'll also be using this one to line. Yeah, because I don't think the browns are deep enough to line, so I'll be using the same one to line. So I think you could repeat what I've just done using the browns and skipping the greys. But I'm going to have to mix some sort of browny shades now because I'm definitely going to be trying these and I have to try that crystal shade. It's the only one. So this is the Crystal Chrome Molten Brown. I'll show you how that looks on the back of my hand. Very, very pretty. So I'm going to take this now onto the lid. That is really pretty. Oh, I love that. Look at that. Let's go back in with this brush though to make sure I haven't lost too much of the grey there. What I might do is take the one shade that I haven't used, this one. This is a cool grey brown and I'm going to taking this on the side of the Wayne Goss brush and I'm just going to run this over what is left of my lid so I can try one of the Diamond Dimensions over it. So I'll try the lightest one, I think. Described as a cool tan nude. Whoa, look at that when it goes over the matte. Isn't that special? Wow. Oh, I love that. And then I'll try this lightest one, White Pearl Diamond Dimension, just on the very first section, so we can see the two of them side by side. Look at that. And before tidying up, I'm going to take this same one. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to change my mind. Sorry, ignore me. I'm just going to tidy up. So I'm just tidying up here and blending these Diamond Dimensions through the crease there. You can see the two different ones, gorgeous. And what I've changed my mind about is I want to try this lightest one to see if it works as an inner corner matte. So this is Neutral Bone. Now when I swatched this it seemed very much my skin tone, so it might not show up. No, it's not. I could try it underneath my brow, but I think it's going to have the same effect. Neutral, well, it works under the brow a bit. Quite a good colour if you want to straighten up and clean up actually, because it really matches my skin tone quite literally. So it just vanishes, so it's a really good one for cleaning up and sharpening up. So what I'm going to do is my original plan. I'm going to go in with this Diamond Dimension, the White Pearl, and pop that into the inner corner. So that's going over the bone matte. So I've got a bit of sparkle in my inner corner. And if I really wanted to, I could also go for a bit of sparkle into the brow. Depends how much sparkle you need. I always think you can never have too much sparkle. So the only thing left to try, I've tried all the shades. I did say I wouldn't, but I did in the end. I'm going to try this dark one again, the grey, graphite grey, with the 23 Rapha brush as a liner. So remember, I've already used this one to darken up the outer V, but it should look even darker using the 23 brush, and it does, and it definitely works as a lining shade. There we go. Do you know, I think I prefer the cool now. I think this, if people who have asked, or I've asked you, do I suit warm tones or cool tones? This is a perfect opportunity to decide between warm and cool, because I definitely think the cool looks better on me. What do you think? This isn't about me, but that is a debate that's been ongoing for a while, but I definitely prefer the cool on me. Even though I do like this, I think I need a warmer sort of blush, maybe, a warmer lip to go with that, and certainly I need mascara. But I love this one. I was a bit disappointed with the lack of crystal pop in this one, but having these 2 diamond dimensions going over the top, they completely made up for it. So they still bring the wow factor, but it's just slightly more elegant, I think, than the crystal pop, using the diamond dimension over the matte. I loved it actually, but we do have the crystal chrome, remember, here, so it's still bringing that special finish. So it's not disappointing at all. So there we go. Which one do you prefer? Let's look at the names again. Super Neutrals or Sensual Sunset? Anyway, let me go off camera for my final 2. And my favourite 2 out of the 6, I think. I haven't tried them on, but maybe they will be. So now on to the final 2, and I've saved my favourites till last, the green and the blue. And if I was only going to get 2 from this collection from seeing them online, these are the 2 I would have picked. I love greens and blues. If you know me, I absolutely adore them. Having seen the swatches, I have a feeling the blue might be my favourite, so I'm going to save the best till last and go with the greens next. So firstly, let me show you the swatch video of this palette.
You're something beautiful, electric chemical. You take my breath away, feel my emotions push and pull. Shooting stars in your eyes, you're bringing me to life. Love how you say my name, you make it.
So here is Emerald Effect. So with this one, I have a diamond dimension, a matte silk, and a molten satin. We have another molten satin. We have a crystal chrome and a matte silk. Then we have a crystal pop, another crystal pop, and a diamond dimension. So a row of my favourites there. And we also had this crystal chrome, so we have 4 of my favourite formulas, which is really good news that they're all greens. Choosing which ones to use is going to be the problem. Anyway, let's start with the Wayne Goss brush, and I'll go in with the lightest, I think. So this is a soft tan brown in the matte silk formula. So this might be an all green palette, but something that's certainly different to the blue one is that the blue one is literally all blues. So we have browns and greens with this one. And I will actually, before I go on to the blue, compare this shade wise. I should have probably done it before starting the look, but I will compare it to the new Victoria Beckham to see if there's any matching shades. Looking at it, I don't really think there are, to be honest with you. Not that olive tone. It doesn't really have an olive in this, does it? So I don't think really you're going to get a match there, but I have been asked, so I will. So as with all the matte silk so far, this is blending out very quickly, very easily, very evenly, and I'm not getting any patchiness. The only thing I put underneath my eyes is concealer and then setting powder, nothing else. I don't use any sort of primer. I do have a little bit of sparkle now running on my eyes and on my cheeks from washing off, so that isn't coming from this or any fallout. It is literally from me washing off because it's getting too difficult to not get the sparkle down my face when I wash off. I think this must be the one with the least amount of mattes out of all of them because there's just these 2 here. So I'll go in with the next one, which is the darker one, and this will also be a good liner, I think. And this is a cool brown matte silk formula. Just taking this into the outer V for a bit of depth there. And I forgot to take a little bit of this underneath, so just taking it on the tip of the brush and running the lighter of the brown mattes underneath. Now, if you went for a purely matte all over the eye look, one look I would actually love with this would be to take the light brown across the whole of the lid and then use this to do a really thick line underneath and over, because I think that will give you a really fantastic pop of green over there, just literally using these two. So this for depth and for maybe, no lining, just for depth. This went all over the lid and in the crease and the transition, and then this shade here for lining under and over for that really big pop of green. So I'm not going to do that today because that would mean showing you only 3 shades, but that's certainly something I want to try. But now I've got that bit of depth. What shall I try next? So we've got 2 molten satins, this one and this one. I'll take a little bit of this one. I don't want to play around too much with the browns. We need to get into these greens, but I'll just put a little bit more, sort of going over that outer V. I really do like this formula, and it sort of does give that natural blend from the matte into the sort of beginning of bringing shimmers. So I think that brings a good start to the look, but we do need to move straight into these greens. So let's go into the deepest green. This is Emerald Sparkle, and this is a Crystal Pop. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that shade. I will actually need to compare that. Have I got it here? I do. I've got the Victoria Beckham Emerald, the Lid Luster Emerald. So let's just see how these two compare now quickly out of curiosity. So this is the Victoria Beckham Lid Luster in Emerald, and this is the Emerald Crystal Pop from Charlotte Tilbury. So I think they both have the same amount of shine, just different sort of depths of the emerald. So it's deeper and darker with the Charlotte Tilbury. Now I think I would probably go in with this sort of goldy one here and finish across the lid, but I want to show you more shades. So, but then I could, oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I want to show you more shades. I think it's got to be this one or this one, and then I can show you this one in the inner corner. So I'm going to swatch the two and then make a decision. This is Antique Green Crystal Chrome, and this one Golden Green Crystal Pop. I think that's probably too close to the emerald. Let me just put the emerald back. The emerald is what I've currently got on. Oh, it's not too close, is it? Oh wow, what do I do? Can I put a tiny bit of all of them on just to show you? Oh, let's just do that. Let's just try it because I can't decide. So let's go with the Crystal Chrome first. So this is Antique Green. So I'm putting it sort of slightly over in the centre. Gosh, that is so impactful, isn't it? Wow. So you can just about see that emerald. Just put a bit more of the emerald in case it's completely vanished. Yeah. Then the Golden Green, which is a Crystal Pop. I think that's going to have to go across the whole of the lid, so I can't get them all in. The rest of the lid, I mean. Because I've still got that minty one, but I don't think that necessarily goes with everything. So we have this one here left to try. It's the light iridescent gold, the diamond dimension, which could be more of a topper. And then we have this mint. I just don't see the mint working with these shades. Apart from this one, I think these two would work really nicely together, but once you've used these two, I'm not sure this mint will work. I'll show you the mint one now. So this is Diamond Dimension again, mint. So I think this works nicely, like I said, with the emerald. There they are closer together, emerald and mint green. I think those two definitely work nicely together, but I don't think I would use the mint with this one. I just don't like the way those two look together. So I think that would really look quite strange now. So I am going to skip the mint, but like I said, I think that would make a really nice liner shade. I think what I will do is go in with this first one here now into the inner corner and just bring it up to meet. So this is Diamond Dimension, but it works nicely as an inner corner. And I can show you a little bit of this on top of that satin. I've still got that outer V there to show you how it works as a topper over the satin. Again, this is not how I would choose to wear them, I am just showing you. You can see how that looks over the satin. Wow. So we've got the diamond dimension over the satin, we've got the emerald, then we've got the antique green, then we've got the golden green, and then we've got the diamond dimension. Wowzers. These are so pretty. But definitely go with one or two. Don't go with all of them. I don't think they work together. So I'm actually taking a little bit here of this one on the tip of my brush. And I'm going to now bring this so that where I've got my hooded lid, I want this to be a sparkly green above, visible above. But I don't want to go with one of the really deeper greens to do this. So I'm just taking this completely above, it's sort of light wash of green sparkle, which you should now see visible above, even with my hooded eye. Editing me again, sorry about this. This has been a very long day doing this and I'm clearly making way too many mistakes. I did actually go in with the darkest brown as a liner here, and then that was the completed look, but for some reason it wasn't filmed and I've moved straight to the blue palette. Apologies for this. So lastly we have this blue one from Charlotte Tilbury. So this one is Denim Dimension. So before I do anything, I will play you my swatch video of this palette.
You're something beautiful, electric chemical. You take my breath away, feel my emotions push and pull. Shooting stars in your eyes, you're bringing me to life. Love how you say my name, you make it feel like summertime when you reach out.
And here it is compared side by side with the Victoria Beckham palette. There's quite a few similarities here, so I'm going to do a direct swatch comparison for you. And just before I start, I'll just tell you the formulas in this palette. So we have a molten satin, another molten satin here, and then we have a diamond dimension. Then we have 3 matte silks in the middle here, and we have another molten satin, a crystal pop, and a crystal chrome. So this palette has every single one of the new formulas, which is really good, and very much an all blue, unlike the green where we have browns and greens, even though they work together very nicely. So I'm just going to do a quick comparison with Victoria Beckham. Keep in mind the Victoria Beckham mattes do not swatch very nicely at all, but they apply perfectly. So you can see that on my video reviewing this palette. So here we have the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is the Victoria Beckham. See what I mean about the Victoria Beckham swatches? So we have mattes. The first 4 here are both mattes, but the Victoria Beckham third matte is a matte here, and this one here from Charlotte Tilbury is actually a crystal pop, because there isn't a colour match for this one. That's the closest blue I'd say to this one. And then we have more of a sort of silvery blue from Victoria Beckham, which is a really high impact finish, and that is one of the comparisons from the Charlotte Tilbury palette there. So I do think they're very, very close actually. So I think it's a question of which one do you prefer more shimmer, and which do you prefer packaging wise. But if you want more in the way of shimmer options, you're going to want the Charlotte Tilbury. But I do have to say the Victoria Beckham shimmer is phenomenal, and it is a beautiful look. But I think it probably could easily be achieved with this Charlotte Tilbury plus a few other looks. So we'll wait until it's on, but I probably would favour the Charlotte Tilbury on that occasion. But obviously it doesn't have the exceptional packaging of Victoria Beckham, which has this refillable packaging and a nice stand-up mirror. We just have this see-through packaging, which I haven't really talked about too much, but it really doesn't bother me personally. I actually quite like having the colours visible so that when they're stacked up in drawers or on shelves, I can see which one's which. And this is exactly the same way as the Dior Backstage palettes, which I really like for that reason. There isn't a mirror, so some people might find that frustrating if you do use the mirrors, and maybe for travel and things. But anyway, just a quick word on that. I know a lot of people have been unhappy with the packaging, but I think seeing as there's nearly £10 or $10 knocked off the price, personally I really don't mind. So I think I'll start with this middle matte silk here. So this is Cornflower Blue matte silk. I do love a cornflower blue. Plenty of pigment, blending out quickly, easily and evenly, I'd say. And I'm going to take this underneath as well on the tip of this fabulous brush. I do wonder how much of this ease of application is down to the brush as well, because I do think this brush is just magic. I'll try the lighter blue just so we can see how it looks as something I could maybe use above. So this is a baby blue matte silk. So I'm just going to take this right above the cornflower as a sort of brightening and also blending shade. Just so it's a little bit brighter on the very top there. I'm bringing it to show up a bit more in this sort of inner section of the eye where I'd like the brightness to be. So a bit more here. So we've got the baby sort of blending into that cornflower. Oh, I like those two together. So I think this time I'm going to try this to build up. I'm going to use this as my liner. So to build up in the outer V, I'll try this shade. This is a molten satin. We know these have a bit of shine, but let's try it in the outer V area to see if it works, because they didn't seem to be, even though they were shiny, they didn't seem to be particularly picking up on lines or exaggerating lines, so it should work quite nicely still in the outer sections in the way you might use a matte. And I think that is working. Maybe it doesn't blend quite as quickly as the mattes. The matte silks together blend so quickly and easily. This is working it pretty quickly, to be fair. It's just not that sort of instant blend. And maybe a little bit underneath, not the whole way, just up till about there, with exactly the same shade. So this steel blue is also a molten satin. So I nearly went on the green then. I'm just going to take a tiny bit here in the outer V section, even though it's a bit light for this, but anyway. Oh, that is beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely stunning shade. Again, I'm going to keep trying all of the different colours. So I think this one now, is this a crystal pop? Yeah, gunmetal blue crystal pop. I'm going to put that next to it. They're quite similar actually. Let me just swatch those two together to show you. So here is the satin and here is the crystal pop. Not a huge difference between the two there, is there? The crystal pop is more shiny. There's the two of them together. You can't see a massive difference. It's definitely a question of one or the other, I'd say. Maybe I should have gone for this blue first actually. This is deeper, isn't it? Anyway, I've done it now, so we'll just have to see what happens. So I'm actually going the opposite way I normally would, by going darker. I'll keep that in the middle. So this is Cobalt Blue Crystal Chrome. Well, that really is an impactful shade, isn't it? I did get a bit of fallout actually from that Cobalt Blue, so I need to be a bit careful when applying that one. So now I'll go in with this one, I think. So this one is the Steel Blue, and this is a molten satin as well. Oh wow, look at that. Even though this is a molten satin, no it's not, it can't be. No, this is Diamond Dimension, sorry. Light iridescent blue. I thought that was too much for a satin. Wowzers, look at that. I blend it slightly over the blue so they blend in nicely together. Oh, I love that. Wow. Oh, stunning. I am getting quite a bit of fallout here. I wasn't being massively careful because I didn't get it with the others. I found this with the Victoria Beckham. Maybe it's something to do with the blues. It's harder to avoid fallout. So definitely the blue one is the first one I've thought you might need to apply this before you do the rest of your base makeup. Anyway, that's not bad. 5 out of 6 didn't do it. So now I'll go into this lightest one. This is the Icy White Molten Satin. I'm going to take this icy white into the inner corner. It's really nice to have an icy white for the inner corner, I think. Perfect. And then take it underneath the brow. I'm sure I've still got a bit of eyeshadow under my brow there from earlier. It looks a bit dark, so please just ignore that. It's getting a bit messy now with all of these washes off and on. Hard to know what's eyeshadow, what's eyebrow colour and what's eyeshadow right now. So lastly, I'm going to try this dark matte on my Refa 23. So this is a deep navy silk matte. So this should be quite a dark liner. Yeah, definitely is. Works really well as a liner. So this palette's got a lovely inner corner with that bright white. And then it's got a really nice dark blue liner shade, which is perfect. As I did with this green, I can't quite resist going for a little bit of sparkle above my lid. This is the Crystal Pop Gunmetal Blue, and I'm just taking it a little bit higher. I don't usually bring sparkle up here, but I'm just really loving the sparkle of these today. So let's do what I did with the green and just bring this sparkle above here so it's visible above my hooded lid. So there is my final look with this stunning blue palette. So we have Denim Dimension and we have Emerald Effect. Which one do you prefer? I definitely prefer the blue. I knew I would, but I do wonder if the green would actually be 50-50 for me if I wasn't trying on all these shades for you and I'd just gone with these two. So if this mint was taking up at least say this much of my lid, and then this was the outer section, or the sort of second third if you like, with the mattes, I think they probably come up quite even, except there isn't a real brightening shade for the inner corner. I think I'd be quite happy to pinch the one from the blue, this white, but they might be even if it wasn't, if I'd applied it that way. But certainly I love this blue one. It's stunning, absolutely stunning. And they spoilt us with the formulas in this one. It spoilt us with all of them, but some of them have just got more. Like I really found the Beautyverse was disappointing for the lack of the fancy shimmers, but you look at this one and even the satins are like shimmers. So we've literally got 2 rows of it really, and we've just got the 3 mattes, and they are really good colour, different colours as mattes, so you can really do exactly what you need to. They're a really good mixture of tones, really well thought out. I love it. So now I can this time go off camera, do my mascara, come back with my final look and tell you my thoughts on all 6. So here we have it with mascara. So Denim Dimension and Emerald Effect. Aren't they absolutely stunning? I do hope I don't have to answer the door to anyone today though, because I do look utterly bonkers with a green and blue eye. Which one do you prefer? I think they're very hard to choose between actually, because there are so many potential looks. Like I said, I would definitely go for a slightly different look, I think, for the green to give myself my favourite look. I'm definitely going to try that very soon. But anyway, my overall impression, if I was going to rank these, I think it would still be the ones I thought I would like the most in my top. I was going to buy 4, so the 2 I was going to leave out was these 2, and I think that's because they suit me the least. And so this one is the Sensual Sunset and the Pink Love. I still think that these are stunning. I think they work beautifully, and I think especially this shade here is absolutely breathtaking in this. So I definitely think I'll be using this when I'm going for a really summery shade. If I've got a sort of peachy top and I want to wear a peachy blush and a really vibrant lip for the summer, this can work on me with my blue eyes. So I'm not upset I've got it. Probably the bottom one for me would be this one, because firstly, pinks have been done to death. We've got loads of them, and I just don't like these sorts of shades of pink. I do like pinks, but they're very warm pinks for me. So I much prefer sort of cool pinks. So if this sort of shade of pink suits you, I think that there's a number of fabulous formulas. I think that's the biggest thing about this collection, is the different formulas in them, and I love each formula. Each formula has a place and they all work together beautifully. So if you like pinks, this is my bottom one personally, just for my skin tone and for my colour choice, but also because we've got so many of them. And my next 2 would be, in order, I think I'd be saying the lilac one next. So this one is in my sort of 4th spot. I should be showing you without all the handprints on really. So this one is called Digital Lilac, and this one, even though it's swatched really badly, especially this deep one here, it actually applied beautifully. I had no problems with the mattes. I thought it looked stunning actually. I really liked it. So this is fourth, but still stunning. And if you like a lilac palette, I think you'll be very pleased with this one. We've got a nice mix of the formulas in here, and we've got some really quite impressive ones there. Not the most impressive out of all of them, but certainly a very nice one. But in third place, I'll put this cool tone one. I think this really suited me. This is great really for a sort of everyday that can work with just about every look as well. So this is really good for that sort of everyday, because I think these sort of greens and blues are very specific to what you're wearing and maybe the occasion. So this one is called the Super Neutral. I love this one. I thought that this one in particular was so impactful when I added it at the end, but I really like the wow shades in this, even though this one seems to have the least amount of wow shades, but they are such a good wow shade that I absolutely love them. But obviously the top two, which I predicted to be my top two, are my top two, and that was the green and the blue. I'm just wiping off all the, trying to wipe off all my fingerprints because they're in a right mess. You can probably imagine the state I'm in having just done all 6 looks. So these two, absolutely stunning. My favourite is the blue, but the green is so close. And as I said, if I change it the look, they'd probably be 50-50. I just love the fact that the blue is all blues, this one being browns and greens. I think I would have really loved it if this one was all greens, because that would have just been perfect. I want an all green palette. I know browns work really nicely with greens, but I think all different greens would have been good, just like with the blue, because look how beautifully they work together when they're all blues. So that's probably my only complaint with the green, is I would have liked more greens, less browns, but they both have, I mean look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wow shades, and even this one is a satin, so it's a real sort of shimmery one, so it's almost 7 out of 9 are wow shades. And then with this blue one, we have just the 3 mattes, and the remaining 6 are all wow shades, and they really are wow shades. So I love them. These are my top 2. Blue is my top 1. And overall, do I think they match up to Beautyverse? I think they're better. That's my honest opinion. I much prefer them. The most recent Beautyverse I've hardly even gone back to. That's probably a lot to do with the shades. But I also didn't think that either of them had the perfect combination of shades, and they certainly didn't have enough shimmers. I think these are much more well thought out. I think it's a much better sort of selection of shades in each one. I think you can get about 3 or 4 looks out of every single palette. Nearly every single one has a, well, they all have good liner shades, apart from that pink. That was the only one, wasn't it, which I really felt didn't have a very good liner, unless you really like that sort of deep red as a liner. But all of the rest had good liner shades, good inner corner shades, and they all had really good wow shades. You can have a simple look, you can take it to the party look, so I love that. That's something Charlotte's always been good at. But you can definitely wear these in a very sort of light way, and you can bring these big wow colours and add them in the evening if you want to go day to night, because I would expect these to last very well as well, because her formulas are always so good, and they are the Italian formulas. And I just think they've got a lot going for them. I'm definitely going to have much more fun with these than I did with the Beautyverse, because I think there's just more potential, and I think that the mix of formulas this time is really quite exciting. I love each and every single one of them. My favourite one is the Crystal Pop, as you've probably noticed, but I also love the Crystal Chrome, and I love the Diamond Dimension. They are just really fun finishes. And I really enjoyed the Molten Satin. I think it's beautiful, and they could be quite nice all over sort of shades for sort of everyday wear. So easy to apply. And then the Matte Silk formula is working perfectly. Yes, it isn't that cream to powder formula we had in Beautyverse, which was beautiful. But for me personally, I found the blending of the Matte Silk absolutely perfect. They blended so quickly and easily. You did see that. I do think this brush is helping, because there's something about this brush. Every single thing I've applied has almost worked perfectly since I got this brush. So I don't know what Wayne did with this. Maybe he sprinkled a bit of magic dust into it. Or is it just that the formulas of the eyeshadows I've tested recently are just phenomenal? But since switching up to that brush in that section of the eye, it's really helped. But yeah, they have blended out beautifully, and I just can't say a bad word about them. I really can't. I think it's, if you want one of these and there's a colour story that speaks to you, I strongly advise you to pick one up at any time. It does say these are limited edition, and what tends to happen with Charlotte when they say that is they will sell out and they will eventually come back. That's what almost always happens, but I could be wrong, maybe they won't come back. So I don't want to tell you to wait till Christmas because these could sell out fast. I think the colours like the blue and the lilac could be some of the most popular, and the green, you might find that they sell out really quickly. So if you do fancy one, it could be worth picking it up now, in all honesty. But again, I don't want to tell you to spend your money. It's entirely up to you, obviously. But just keep that in mind. The limited edition might be genuine, or it could just be a very long wait. I know with Charlotte in the past, I've skipped something and I've had to wait nearly a year until it's come back in stock. So either it never will, or we have a long wait. But I'm hoping that these become permanent because they are stunning, and I hope that they just get, well, can you extend this range? I don't know if you need to, really. Maybe some black and silvers for the new year could be an extension. I'm not sure what else, really. What do you think? Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on everything I've tried on today. Please do remember I've got my 15% off discount code from Charlotte Tilbury, which I'll pop again below just in case that's useful to you, because 15% if you're buying a few of these would definitely be helpful. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this, please do comment below and have a chat about everything. I would love to hear your thoughts, even if you haven't enjoyed it and you've hated them all. Please do comment below because I just like to hear your thoughts regardless of what they are. Every single opinion is welcome here. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you've subscribed. It's super helpful to me. And if you are subscribed, you're at the end of another review, and I appreciate you so very much. And I do hope to see you all again for my next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.